All right, we're going. All right, can you start by stating your name, your age, and your profession?
Yes, I'm Dr. Brittney Christian. I am 29 years old and I am a prenatal and pediatric chiropractor.
Awesome. So then, what does it mean to be a prenatal and or prenatal and pediatric chiropractor?
So I'm a trained and licensed professional chiropractor, but there's different sectors of chiropractic work. So I specialize in taking care of pregnant women and taking care of babies and children. Um, and most people think of chiropractors as people that only deal with neck pain, back pain, um, or when you get in an accident and need to be put back together. But for me, I am a chiropractor that works on helping women get proper alignment before pregnancy or help babies have proper alignment in their spine after their birth.
Awesome. So you're more like preventative?
Yes, preventative for pregnancy for sure. And corrective can be corrective too if moms or babies have injuries from birth or have stress or trauma from birth. It can be corrective work as well. But yes, I love to say that I do more preventative, holistic healthcare.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So then, how did you get into that, and what education do you have?
So I have a bachelor's in chemistry, actually. I was chemistry pre-med in undergrad and decided that I did not want to go directly to medical school. And so then I found chiropractic school and loved the philosophy of natural healing and how our bodies can work to heal themselves. And so I went to chiropractic school next, which was another 4 years. And that was the extent of my schooling after high school.
Awesome. So I guess this is kind of a question for me. Do you have to, you don't have to go to med school before going to chiropractic school. Chiropractic school, you can go there directly after getting your bachelor's degree.
Yep, it's its own separate professional graduate school.
Awesome. Okay,
It's a
cool.
doctorate program. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Awesome. Okay, well, probably yes, but was your education important to, get you to where you are today?
Yes, this is a career that you definitely have to have the credentials to pursue. So, um, you don't always have to have a bachelor's before you get into some chiropractic schools. You can get in with an associate's degree if you have met all of the prerequisite requirements. But most people get a bachelor's first in some type of science field, usually, and then go into the chiropractic program. So, yeah, you do definitely have to go to school for this career.
Awesome. Okay. All right, so pivoting more to questions more for youth now. So when you were a child, what did you want to be when you were a kid?
I love this question. So I told everyone, like I vividly remember when I was like 7, 8, 9, that I was telling everyone that I was going to be a baby doctor. And what I meant when I said that was I wanted to be an OBGYN. So I wanted to be an obstetrician that helped birth babies and bring babies into this world. And that was my plan even up until college. I went to college for pre-med and I just knew I was gonna birth babies for the rest of my life. And then when I was a junior in college, I realized that's not actually what I wanted to do. So my plans changed. But I still get to work with babies and pregnant moms. So it's kind of it has all come full circle for sure.
Definitely, yeah. So then when you still were a kid, what was one of your favorite subjects and how did you know like you wanted to be a baby doctor?
Uh I don't know directly like if I had a favorite like subject in like elementary school or middle school, but as I got into high school and probably middle school, yeah, like science was definitely my favorite thing and like learning about the human body was so interesting to me. But as like a kid, I remember watching like this show on TLC with my mom and I tell this story, it's on my website, the story's on my website. I always watch this show with my mom called Birthday And it was just like tons of stories of babies being born in hospitals and like the process of how a baby was born. And like the little kid in me was so fascinated with like watching babies be born. And like, I was like, I want to do that. I want to help women bring life into this world. And like, I had to be like in elementary school watching these shows with my mom. And that's kind of where that thought process of like, this is what I'm going to do. It came from that, like the influence of watching a TV show with my mom.
Awesome. No, that's really cool. So what you do now, is it um, kind of similar to what you would see on TV, kind of with respect to the environment you're in? Are you always around babies? Are you on your feet, moving around, or are you more at a desk and things like that?
I would definitely say that with what I do now, being a prenatal and pediatric chiropractor, I'm definitely in a similar field that I would be in had I went to become an OBGYN. But I am more on the outside of the hospital side. So yeah, I'm still around babies all the time. I'm around pregnant women all the time. And I'll share some footage of like the work that I do with you, and maybe you can
Perfect.
share that. But also being in this career as a chiropractor has given me the opportunity to kind of branch out and do a couple other things. So within my practice, I also am a childbirth educator. So I teach pregnant women about birth and about what to expect and like how to cope with birth and how to get through birth. And then I also am a labor doula. So,
What is
um,
that?
so a labor doula is a support person while you're in labor. So I
Oh,
get to attend births with women and just be their right hand. So I do get to go to hospitals sometimes and I do get to see babies be born. But I'm there to like just help mom through the unknown, through the fear, through the pain, with different techniques that I've learned through my certification. So I kind of, my career is all over the place, but I
yeah.
am focused on helping babies and pregnant moms navigate this whole space.
Yeah. No, that's really cool and really interesting. I don't know many other professions that work so closely with pregnant moms. I mean, maybe there are out there, I just don't know. What would you say is one of the most important personality traits you have that, prepares you to interact with pregnant moms and babies and, doctors and nurses and things like that?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm going to give you two.
Awesome.
So, the first personality trait, of course, is just being really caring for people. I've always been a person that's like wanted to be helpful in every situation. And I want to be there for people. So, whenever moms are going through pregnancy, like the 9 months of pregnancy, and also going through birth, the actual process of birth, that's a really intimate time for women. So having an open and caring heart for women during that time is really important, which I feel like I do. And like people have told me that like, oh, you're so kind, you're so sweet, you're perfect for this. So like I try to make sure that I'm caring for everybody in the way that they need the care, you know? And then the second trait I would say is because I do work in a hospital setting sometimes, and I do have to talk to other medical professionals or other health workers in this field. Another trait that I think is really important is just like being, I don't know how to say, being not straightforward, but being confident. Confident in like what you do, confident in the things that you know, and being able to speak up when you need to speak up, being able to explain situations, and being an advocate for pregnant moms. Those are all really important things in the health field. Be confident in what you know and speak up for what's important, especially when you are caring for somebody else.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think those things kind of go hand in hand because in order to really care for someone, and or I would say like in order for someone to kind of be receptive to that care, they have to see that you're confident in what you're saying and things like that. So that's no, that's really interesting. Um,
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So still thinking with the youth here. Do you have any advice for kids, let's say like eighth grade and below, for getting to, a role similar to what you're in now, or, anything similar?
Yeah, I would definitely say even starting younger than eighth grade, like you said, eighth grade and below, explore. There's so many careers that even as an adult in the health field, I'm still learning like, oh my gosh, there's people that do these things. Like, and it's the craziest careers that you didn't know existed. So I wish that as a person in middle school or as a child in middle school or even elementary school, people talk to me more about the options that there are, especially in the health field. Like, I thought that the only way I could work with babies and pregnant moms was to go to medical school and become an obstetrician or a surgeon to help babies be born. So I would definitely tell kids explore, ask questions. And kids today have such a major advantage. They have
Yeah.
so much technology. They have YouTube. They have interviews like this with you.
Yeah.
Like they have so much resources to figuring out what things are out there. I would also say, like, when you go places with your parents, ask questions like, "Oh, what type of jobs do they do here? What are these people doing?" Ask all the questions and explore all the things. Use your resources, use the internet, and like Google how many jobs there are in a certain field for sure.
Yeah, that's actually really funny because, yes, like you alluded to, like that's one of my goals for this channel and one of my goals for all these interviews. And then also, I said I interviewed myself. I said that same exact thing. Whereas, like, always ask questions. Don't be afraid to go explore different job roles, and learn about different career paths because there are a lot of things out there that we just don't learn about when we're kids. So no,
Exactly.
that's awesome to see you say that same thing. Um, Okay, so pivoting more now to young adults, and so this is kind of thinking about college age students that may be, in their sophomore, junior year where they're thinking about, do I actually want to go to medical school? What else is out there for me? Um, so thinking, I guess, kind of starting with your middle school or high school job, what was one of your first jobs, and what skills did you learn that help you in your job now?
I don't know if my first job helped at all, but
Okay.
my we'll do first and second. My very first job ever when I was 14 was working at the local baseball stadium, the Evansville Otters baseball stadium.
Like
I
concessions?
Well, yes and no. I worked in the stands selling popcorn, peanuts, and Cracker Jacks.
Okay.
So I walked up and down the stands yelling popcorn, peanuts, Cracker Jacks. Yeah, that's what I did for like a year. I think I did two seasons, two baseball seasons. That was my first job. And I was just so eager to like start working as a kid and make some money. It's crazy. I've always had this like drive to work and like work hard. So that was my first job because it was the first one that I could get. What skills did I learn from that? I don't know. I learned to I mean it taught me like any job is going to teach you to show up for sure. It's going to teach you responsibility. Um and it's going to teach you like how to just be your own person and do your own thing. But I think my next job was probably the one that I learned more things. I worked in retail. I worked at TJ Maxx as a sales associate. And actually I kept that job through high school and I even came home from college to work during the summers sometimes. And that job really was a job that taught me communication with other people, customer service skills, how to talk to people, which is a huge thing for me. I'm a talker, and I wish more kids would get into using their voice and speaking up. And so, having customer service jobs where you're around people all day and having to answer questions all day, I think is a great starting point for just learning to speak to people and learning to use your voice and communicate better. So, that working in retail did that for me for sure.
Nice. Yeah, I think learning how to speak to people is a skill that people may take advantage of in those retail type roles. So no, I definitely agree that that is a nice skill that you learned back then that you'd still probably use today. Um, okay, so that's how you kind of got your first jobs and things like that. So how did you actually find and apply to the current role you're in? And I think you kind of work for yourself, so if you could talk about that a little bit as well.
Yes. So, I do currently own my own business. Which I'm wearing. I own Well Prepared Nest, and it's geared towards pregnant women. Um, but to get into what I'm into now, was that the question? How did I
Yeah,
get?
like, yeah, how did you find that role? Like, how did you apply to the job? Like things like that.
Okay, gotcha, gotcha,
But
gotcha.
I don't think you necessarily applied because you started your own business. So I guess you could say, how did you start your business?
Yeah, okay. So, well, right out of chiropractic school, I did work for other doctors. So
Okay.
yeah, I was an associate. That like when you work for another doctor, you're an associate. So I did associate for 2 years, 2 years and 6 months, 2.5 years. Let's do better math. Um, so during that time was when I was learning more because I was coming right fresh out of school. I didn't want to jump into owning a business and like there's no need to reinvent the wheel. If there's something already created, do not recreate it. Go and figure out how did they create theirs and then you replicate that. So that was my goal coming out of school. I worked for 2.5 years for other doctors and learned so much, learned what things I liked, learned what things I did not like, what things I would not be keeping in my own business. I learned just more about the profession. I made my skills better because I have a hands-on job. So if you're not practicing using your hands and working on people all the time, you're not going to get better. So my skills got better in those 2.5 years. And I used that knowledge and those skills to transition into opening my own business at the beginning of this year in 2023. So yeah, so
Pretty
it's a newer
recent.
business.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Awesome.
but yeah, I just watched other people what other people did and applied that to my own business.
Awesome. So yeah, I think you kind of got to this, but you were an associate for about 2.5 years, and then you've been running your own business for maybe like, I guess 5 months. Where are we at? 4 months?
For almost 5 months. Yeah.
Almost
Yeah.
5 months.
It's crazy to think about, but yeah, that's what's been going on.
So where do you see yourself kind of, it's still really early in owning your own business, but do you see yourself staying with your own business, for long
I
term, or do you
have
see yourself going back?
Yeah, so I have actually really enjoyed entrepreneurship, even though it is one of the hardest things ever. But the freedom that comes with it has been amazing. Like getting to make my own choices about things that I want and don't want, and being in charge of my own financial freedom has been amazing. And not being told what I'm going to get paid or having to negotiate things. Like I'm in charge of all of that. So that part has been amazing. So I do see this being a long-term thing for me that I would like to stick to. So I think so.
Awesome. So with that, do you see or do you feel like this job is then sustainable for your future?
Definitely. So,
Okay.
and I think that is a really important question whenever kids are or young adults are deciding on careers and futures, and how sustainable is it, like is this going to be something that is going to last me a lifetime? And you don't have to stick to one career for a lifetime at all. I have like 3 different careers as you've heard.
Yeah.
um, but I do know that there's always going to be reproduction. Moms are always going to have babies. Babies are always going to need care. And I think that this world is becoming more open to holistic healthcare. So I feel like I am in a place for great growth for sure with my career.
Awesome. Well, yeah, do you have any advice for young adults or like recent college graduates or college students as they're kind of navigating around either becoming a chiropractor or a prenatal chiropractor and things like that?
Yes, my advice, which not that I took my own advice when I was that age, but my advice is to actually get out in the field and ask to visit these careers that you want to get into, whatever it is. There's doctors' offices that are always accepting students to come and shadow or come and hang out for a day. You just have to reach out and ask. And most of them are open to letting future students or future doctors come in and just see what it looks like. And I think that is really important in deciding what you want to do. Even if like you want to be an engineer or you want to be a mechanic, go find an engineer, go find a mechanic. Ask them, what do you do on a daily basis? Because sometimes we have this idea of a career and then you get to that career and you're like, this is not what I thought I would be doing every day. So, as a young adult, especially in college, find internships in the field that you want to work in. Find offices that will let you come and job shadow. Or if you can get like a part time job at any of these places for the summer or something, just getting the hands on experience and actually seeing what they do could really help you. And it could actually change your trajectory of like what you decide to do for a career. So that's my biggest advice for students in college. I wish I would have shadowed a little bit more, just so I would have known like my options early on. But you know, it works out.
Yeah, yeah. So how would you suggest people go about that? Would you kind of just look up different chiropractor offices that are in your area or an area that you would want to spend a summer in, and then email the office and say, "Hey, I'm a student. I'm interested in pursuing this career field." How would you go about that?
Yeah, for sure. So for chiropractic work, it is that simple.
Okay.
Chiropractors, myself included, are super open to having students come and shadow and come and see what the work is that we do because all chiropractors are excited about sharing what we do. Most of us love what we do. So we're always excited to share and teach about it. When I was in chiropractic school, I would come home most summers and so I went to school in Marietta, Georgia, right outside of Atlanta, which is where I live now. But I would come to Evansville, and in the summer, I reached out to my parents' chiropractor, and I went and hung out in her office a couple times, and just kind of watched how she worked and watched what she did. And yeah, I just emailed her like, "Hey, I'm a student. I'm coming home for the summer. May I please shadow you?" And she said yes, and it was that simple. So
Yeah,
just take a leap, find the people that you want to see what they do, and most people will say yes. And if they say no, find somebody else. There's always
exactly.
somebody else.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think one of the biggest hurdles for me was always being confident to cold email someone or cold call someone. But once I got over that hurdle, I got a lot more yeses than I initially expected. So, yeah, definitely agree with that. Um,
Exactly.
all right, so then our last little well, the last segment before the fun questions, is going to be more targeted towards professionals that may be in, a different chiropractic field or maybe in, they went through medical school and then they're like, being what are they called? OBGYN is not for me.
Hmm.
Maybe they want to switch, things like that. So people that have been in the field for a little bit. So first question around that is your role tied to a specific location? And how are you managing that?
Yeah, so no, being a chiropractor is not tied to a specific location per se. I when I first graduated school, I moved to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and I practiced for 2 years in South Carolina with someone else. The only stipulation is you do have to have a license in every state that you practice in. So I was licensed in South Carolina for 2 years, and then I moved back here last year. And then I got licensed here in Georgia. So I can only practice here in Georgia right now because that's my only current license. So whatever state I move to, I'll have to get a different license. But no, you can move wherever you want with this career. The only thing about moving is you'll have to kind of start over wherever you go. And so that was kind of a hurdle for me when I did move. I had to rebuild my clientele, rebuild my patient base, and get new patients in the door, new patients in my practice, which takes time. Like
Hmm.
people aren't going to find your new business overnight, and they're not going to be lined up outside your door the first day. So it takes work to get your business built up if you're going to relocate. But yeah, you can live and practice and work anywhere. I know chiropractors that live in Costa Rica or live in Peru, South America, and there's one in Africa. So you can pretty much do this anywhere in the world.
Nice, nice. Okay, so then do you work long hours?
Um, some days, most days not though. So my business, can I talk just a little bit about like my business and what I
Yeah,
do?
for sure.
So I actually own a mobile business. So I don't have a brick and mortar office. I don't have a set location. I go to people's homes and I see them in their home. So I um, typically schedule my days how I want because it's my day to schedule. So the other day, I think I had 3 home visits in that day, and they were all like 8 a.m., 1 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. So I was home by 4. And if I would have scheduled it differently, I could have been home by 12 if I would have scheduled like 8, 10, and 11. But it just depends. So my hours definitely vary, but that's one of the things that I like about my career is that I have the flexibility to vary my hours.
Hmm.
So that is actually a good question for even young adults starting a career. You have to find your work life balance, how much you're going to work and then how much you're going to actually live your life. And so that's another reason that I opened my own business is because I wanted to create a better work life balance. I didn't want to like work 80 hours or
Hmm.
40 hours a week, you know. I want to be able to work like 25 hours a week and still make the same amount of money, which is attainable for me. So that you don't have to work long hours to be happy and be successful. So no, I don't work long hours.
Nice. So when you're going, from house to house, are you taking your own like equipment, like the bed thing that people lay on? Like, do you like take that around to
Yep.
house to house? Okay.
Yeah, I have a great little setup. I don't have like a full like how does this work on my Instagram, but I'll send you some videos of
Oh,
like
cool. Your setup.
my setup for sure. But yeah, I have a portable chiropractic table. It actually folds in half and fits in a backpack. It's like a big hiking backpack. But
Okay.
yeah, it folds in half and fits on my back. And then all of my equipment I carry in a bag with me. So yeah, I'm super mobile, super portable. So
All
easy
right.
enough.
Nice. So then last question around professionals. I know not everyone likes going to the chiropractor and people have their opinions. So I wanted to get your opinion and thought on, is being a chiropractor appropriately portrayed in society, or what are some of your thoughts around that?
So that is a hard question, but a very
Okay.
valid question. I don't think it's always portrayed correctly in society, but I think that has a lot to do with us as professionals. We haven't done the greatest job of like advertising what we do and educating people on what we do and why we do it. And so sometimes people get this misconception based off of one visit to a chiropractor, and they run with it. And then that's the story that's told to everyone. So I do feel like chiropractors should just speak up more about what we do and why we do it and all of the benefits that come with chiropractic care, which there's so many benefits that people don't realize, like better sleep, less stress, less physical stress on your body, less emotional stress in your mind. For babies, like constipation, digestion, even for adults, like all of these things can be helped with chiropractic care. And then, of course, your physical aches and pains in your back or in your neck, of course, chiropractic care is going to help with those things. But we focus more on function and making sure that your brain is telling your body what to do and how to do it correctly so that every function of your body is working at its best. So that's a story that needs to be told more, not the neck pain, back pain
Yeah.
story. So I do feel like sometimes chiropractors definitely get a bad reputation. But that's just a miseducation is the problem. And how else are we going to, rewrite the story besides us retelling it,
Yeah. No, that's a very, very, very important part, that education piece and telling your story. So, no, really, thanks for sharing that. So yeah, we are almost out of time. So I'll ask one more last question, and it's a fun question. So, what would you say is the worst or weirdest thing you've ever had to do for your job, and then also the best?
Huh. That is a good question. I don't know what's the weirdest thing. Um, I really don't feel like there's any weird things in my job. Like
Okay.
I I I mean, as a labor support person, like I don't even think seeing a baby be born is weird. I think that's normal. So, but
Yeah.
some people may think that's like a lot. The best thing about my job is getting to see people's lives changed, even if it's in a small way. So, um, for example, like I have moms that will bring me their babies because their baby's not sleeping or their baby's not pooping, which when you have kids, you'll know that like if your baby's not pooping, your life's a nightmare because that baby's not happy. So I have moms that have brought me their babies for things like that. And after their first or second chiropractic adjustment with me, their baby poops and then their baby sleeps. And that is life changing for a first time mom or like a new mom with a baby. So those types of things are the best part of my profession is just helping people in these ways that may seem small, but they're huge for them. So that's the best part of what I get to do is helping people make changes in their lives.
Awesome. Well, no, this has been great, and that was perfect timing. We got about a minute and a half left here. And I wanted to say thank you for taking your time to, tell me a little bit more about your job. And let me make sure I can get this correct. It's a prenatal and pediatric chiropractor. Okay.
Perfect.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks so much. Best of luck with continued success in your small business. And well, yeah, we'll definitely stay in touch.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's been such a pleasure getting to chat with you and just share a little bit more about what I do and spread the word about chiropractic care.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Bye-bye. We'll talk later.
See ya.